to the extraordinary life and changing possibilities that occur when you integrate your art and your life. When you integrate yourself more fully into your art. So let me show you on this board. Okay, so let me get this up for you. All right. So let's first look at the typical way many struggle to make their art. You know, this is the hard way when you and your art are separated, and it looks like this. Notice that you're kind of not connected. In other words, there's not enough you in your art. It looks like this, and some of you might feel familiar to you when you are making your art in this way. It's harder. It's kind of a grind, right? So it's kind of slow. Okay? It's just going to be harder when it's separate from you. And by the way, when you're kind of trying to control it and hold on, it kind of your art's, it feels like that, and it's weak. The art's weaker. Oh, there's the problem. Okay. And because you're not like blistering with confidence about this, right? You don't feel like amazing about your art. You tend to not want to share it so much. So the art tends to stay hidden. I know so many of us can relate to this, right? This relates to like posting your art. You just don't feel like doing it. And as a result of trying to do this over here, you kind of are not doing so great. You tend to feel a little, you feel apprehensive. Some of you guys posted, like, I feel fear, I feel judgment, right? And you do, right? There's a little bit of fear in this. And you're critical of yourself. For sure, right? That judgment. And as a result of all this, there's just kind of an emptiness. It's just, you're just lacking, right? I just describe it as empty. Now, however, when you connect and you bring these together, you and your art, everything changes. First of all, the way you make your art, it's way easier. It tends to flow. And I know we all hit this sometimes, right? Our art gets good, like all of a sudden we're on, it's just going so easy, and then we fall out of it. So this doesn't ever exist for us, but it's very hit and miss. Or at least this is how it was for me. But it tends to be, you get to be in flow, right? And guess what happens? Your art becomes more like you. Obviously, there's more you in it, and it's more authentic. And authenticity is everything in art. And as a result of that, you like it better. You will. It's of you. And so will other people. It makes your art irresistible. First for you, right? You get excited about it, right? And then for others looking at it. By the way, this is the work that sells. This is how you do it, you guys. This is a business plan right here. And how it's going to affect you. Guess what? Your confidence goes up, right? And you feel more connected, of course. And as a result of this whole world, you feel more fulfilled. The reason this occurs is because of this crossover place. where you and your art intersect, both become more alive. This integration brings you more fully alive, and your art mirrors the same aliveness. We're going to be talking more about this, especially tomorrow. But when you move towards what you love, what your soul says yes to, there's an uptick in your energy, in the frequency, and it spreads to all areas, not just your art, but your life too. Who resonates with this? Type alive in the chat if this is starting to open the doors for you a little bit. Let me know. It's such a powerful realization of how art, when it starts to become more like you, it affects you. It affects everything. Yes. Absolutely. Great. Okay, Pam, thanks for that. Corazon, Cindy, Rukmini. Oh, hi, Rukmini. Christina, Paul, Stacy. Okay. So the key idea is that we no longer just make art and hope it works, right? That's the old way. We have to understand that our best art comes as a result of how we are feeling, how we are being. Your true art, the kind that only you can make, is the way back to your most authentic, most confident, alive version of you, the full spectrum you. And when this starts, it changes everything. Unfortunately, I did not know this for a huge part of my life. You know, I always dreamed of becoming an artist. I was always making art. I was terrified of getting a jobby job. And my father, who was a creative director at an advertising agency, told me there was such a thing as a freelance illustrator. And this, turns out, was a person who got to do art, but also could work for themselves. And so being an illustrator to me sounded perfect. And I loved art, so I became one. I went to this great school, I worked really hard, and I got pretty successful at it. And I was able to support my family and my 2 young daughters. But you know, raising a family just became like super challenging. It was very costly and so much pressure. But luckily, I had a lot of projects, and I did all these book covers, and annual reports, and children's books, and I was just working really hard. But I wasn't really making my art. I didn't really know what that was at that point, but I certainly wasn't making it. And it was really what I was doing was making art for other people. And it wasn't really the dream. I wasn't becoming an artist. And looking back now, I realized that it was my mindset, my thinking, my belief that what I couldn't do, that I couldn't do art and make a living. You know, I had all these, like, there's no money in art. I had all these ideas in my head that just blocked me. So I just kind of postponed, right? I postponed this dream out of the fear. And my strategy, it's so ridiculous, but I started to save my money. So one day, I would be able to stop working, and I would get a studio, and I would be able to do my art. You know, and that was the idea. And I worked so hard, and I put money away and all that. And, you know, most of the illustration, the art that I was making at the time, I didn't really, you know, I liked it, but I didn't really connect to it. It wasn't mine. And as a result, just like in that integration model, I just shared, I was quite empty inside, right? I started to feel, you know, really critical. I lacked confidence, you know, and I lacked really what it was. I lacked belief. But occasionally I would make something personal. Maybe, you know, once or twice a year, I'd make something that felt more like me. And this is one of them.